sure the lightning will let me know later on.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to pray right now that the lightning does not set the electricity out. Do not lose electricity midstream, which, actually, while I'm thinking about it, we should pray. So that's
Yes.
a good idea. Father, right now, I just thank you for your presence, and I just thank you, Lord, that you come and be a part of this stream that has just now gone live. Father, I just thank you, Lord, that you bless this stream. May your presence be with us. May you help us to have. Oh, I'm hearing myself twice. I can't think hearing myself. Anyways, I just thank you, Father, for your peace. That you give Tim and I good synergy. Help us, Lord, to hear all that's being said between ourselves and those that are talking to us, so we'll be able to answer things well. And just thank you, Lord, for anointing us to be a blessing to others today. Bring those that need to be brought. Fill us with your unconditional, perfect love that it casts out all fear. And just thank you, Lord, that you're with us, anointing us, and you're going to make it good, Father. And I thank you for that you give us the words to say. Do you have anything, Tim?
Nope.
Okay. In your precious name, amen. Let me take a second, refresh this Facebook stream, and let me share this as myself. Me. Yay! Share it now. Just share it right away. Cool. Alright, it has been done. Alright. Cool. That's great. This is good. I got all that situated. And I have multi-stream up, so that way when people start to say things, I can see those things. How's your day been, Tim?
It's been pretty good. Hit gold 1 in League of Legends.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, met a dude that I duoed with. A pretty cool guy. It's weird, man. It's like in League of Legends, the people that have the best attitudes are the best at the game. But, if you look up a guy named Tyler 1, that's not always true. The dude rages all the time.
Hmm.
But at least for me, when I don't try and I'm just talking to people,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like I win a lot more.
Yeah. I think it takes the stress of winning out, which then also takes the errors that you would typically make when you're under stress away. Because,
Mhm.
stress definitely causes errors. So, yeah. I wonder then if that person who streams League of Legends and gets frustrated a lot is just doing it for show.
Uh, no, a lot of the people. Well, maybe the people that do it for show, or the people that stream, maybe they do it for show, but a lot of people just get absolutely tilted and irritated. They just have a trash bag mentality.
In my mind, your statement cut off at abs, and it
No,
just
no.
people who just get abs, and I'm just like, wow, okay, cool. But then you continue to say
Abs.
absolutely, and then that changed the. You're gonna say something?
Nope.
Okay.
I pulled my headset and my earring got caught.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something, which is why you made the face.
Mm, mm, mm,
But
mm.
I was wrong. Okay. All right. So yes. So hello, everybody, and and welcome to Thought Raid, a show where we take on your thoughts and find better ways of thinking about them. I'm Brandon Brown, owner of United Gamers Nation, and gathered with me today is the wonderful Tim Denock of Break the Meta LLC. And today is Saturday, which means this is a day where we like to kind of take on any kind of questions or anything that you guys have and talk about them as we're going through the topics that we've prepared for today. So if at any point you have any sort of questions, if it's related to what we're talking about or unrelated, make sure to type out those questions in the comments, either on YouTube or Facebook. We're both streaming. Or you can follow the link that we have pasted, and it will bring you into the Overflow channel. And when we're ready to bring people up, we can bring you up to our channel, and you can be on the show, and we can talk to you about whatever things are on your mind. But if you do, Make sure that you have a specific question in mind when we bring you on. So if you are afraid you're going to forget it, make sure to write it down. That way we can, be able to answer that question and not have a whole session talk about random stuff. So we're just working on like fine tuning the process. But anyways, today one of the things that we wanted to talk about was security. And at least like I kind of mentioned in the post on YouTube, I kind of view security as like a double-edged sword, because a secure person can accomplish a lot more than an insecure person can because of that foundation that they have. But there is a point where that security can also become sinking sand that kind of prevents a person from going and doing the things that they know they need to be doing, but it's so nice and comfortable in the sand that they're sinking into. And now they have this false sense of security that's really actually insecurity, but it feels like security, and it becomes more problematic. So, Tim, you've been preparing this one because it's kind of come out of the conversations you've had over the week. So, talk to me. What have you been learning and thinking about when it comes to security and insecurity in this case?
Mm-hmm. Well, we talked a little bit about this last night, about the whole getting rid of your past and getting over your past.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I feel insecure because I'm the only person on the screen. Brandon, come back. I don't want to be by myself.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm still not over that whole, being the only person in front of the public thing. I need to get over that.
Yes. So we're going to help you with that. There you go.
Thank you, Brandon.
You're welcome.
But yeah, just finding security in all the crap that I had in my past, like all the pop figures and all the stuff I would buy, and my status at work, my status with friendships, and thinking, okay, well, I'm in a place where I feel secure. And then I ran across this quote by Helen Keller that says, "Security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure."
Okay, you're going to have to say that one more time, because as you're doing it, for some reason you turned into a robot. In fact, you still are kind of being a robot for some reason. Oh gosh, what is happening to the quality of of our channel? Ah! Wait, okay, I'm going to go to this, see if that takes care of the connection. It may not. We may actually have to, like, switch how we're doing this, that way we can pick it up better. Tim, let's try going into a private call real quick, see if we can fix up some of this lag issue that we're having, because you're not out completely, but you're definitely robotic on my end. So let me do that. Let me switch to this. We're gonna take a quick journey here. And I'm going to join a call on this side, and I'm going to pop this out. So far, so good. And I want to share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. All right, cool. All right, cool. All right, and we'll try this one more time. All right. Oh, wait, that's the wrong thing. That's almost right. That's right. Okay, we're good again. All right, hopefully that it won't have the same destructive force, so turning into a robot all of a sudden. So you repeat that quote from Helen Keller again, was where we were last off.
Okay, I'll put it in the Facebook chat, actually.
Go back to that again.
Okay, so it says security is mostly, come back to Discord. Okay. It said, "Security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure."
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about how that applies to a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about lately. Like, all navigating pornography, or navigating relationships, and thinking about how my wife's upbringing was a lot different than mine, where she had a lot more structure and a lot more accountability than I had, and what the other side was like, And I'm also reading that book Wild at Heart that you and I were talking about, and it talks about risk and danger and how to be a man, And And just thinking about specifically, one thing that jumps out to me thinking about that is at the end where it says, avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. And I'm thinking about sex in uh, the Christian community, how it's often, um, I don't want to say bastardized, but it's villainized. That's the
Mm.
word I'm looking for. Sex is villainized, and then people get this tense feeling of, oh God, sex. Oh God, this person likes me. Oh, I have sexual feelings for this girl. Oh no, I looked at pornography. And growing up, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, you probably shouldn't look at this for whatever reasons. We're not going to tell you the reasons, but we're just going to tell you probably shouldn't. And I have the freedom to. And I got to a point where I made the decision I didn't want to look at it anymore, and I just stopped. It was a lot easier. And
Mm.
for some people, navigating out of that, there's more strongholds of villainy there, where it's like you feel like a trash bag because avoid, like it says, avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Sometimes outright exposure is better. Um,
Mm.
but just thinking about safety, like how do you keep your kids safe? How do you keep your money safe? How do you keep your house safe? Um, if you go online and just look up the definition of security, it says security is the state of being free from, good Lord, the state of being free from danger or threat.
Hmm.
And what I linked to my Facebook was how a lot of people live a life in pursuit of security. Like, if you're watching this, you probably clicked on it thinking, man, there's something in my life that I'm pursuing security in, whether it's I'm pursuing security in my relationship. I got to find some way to make this so there's no danger and there's no threat. Or my finances. I got to find a way where my finances, there's no danger or no threat. And I remember early on, my mentor was just talking to me about working an actual job where you borrowed a position. If you've ever read the book Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, it talks about how when you're an employee, you borrow a position from a corporation temporarily until the return on investment for them is no longer present, right?
That's an interesting way of
So
putting it.
yeah, at a job that I worked recently.
Oh no. Uh-oh. We're having more issues. I wonder if the power went out on Tim's end again. There's been a thunderstorm that's been passing through in the region, and it yeah, I know. And I wonder if the power went out on his end. That's something that I was hoping against, but it very well could be. There was some loud thunder strikes that was happening before we even began the stream. So we may have some technical difficulties today and might have to postpone stuff until things improve. Because the way that we oftentimes set up our streams. Oh, it's Discord. It's just Discord. Okay. Oh, that's weird. How do we overcome this hurdle then? Is it well? Anyways, as I'm working through that, the way that we sometimes organize stuff is that I'll have something planned, and I'll be the one that kind of lead the stream, and then Tim will have something planned, and he'll be the one to lead the stream, and then we kind of flip flop that over the weeks. This is Tim's week, so however he's taking it, I'm not quite as sure, but we're going to try to fix this issue, so that way, we can continue along with talking about security. What a way to work through security, through being thrown into a situation where you really don't know what's going to happen next. So it's good to know at least that it's just Discord and not power, because that's the way it happened last time. The power just went kaput, and then that was it. I wonder what's going on specifically with Discord that is causing it to have such lag issues, but Tim is back on, so maybe he'll pop back into the channel. Yep, I can hear you come back. There you are! Oopah! I gotta get this right. Alright, we'll go to this here. Click on that there, and this, and there. Okay, I'll have it like this for the moment, just in case something like that happens again.
How do I can't see anything, Brandon.
Oh, you can't see, like, the stuff that I'm sharing? I can stop it and start it again. Hold on. Oh, lost him again. We'll get this eventually. Can you see something? Oh, can you see something now?
Hey, there we go.
Okay, cool. Good. All right, so let me go back to this again and make sure that you're front and center. And, oh, of course, hold on. Click that again. That, there. Okay. All right, so, do you see everything? Are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay, Father, I just pray that you help keep things good, whatever is going on with Discord and on Tim's side. Fix it, Father, so that doesn't happen again. Amen.
Okay, so what were we talking about?
So we were, again, going over the quote and extrapolating more on it, and I think we were talking about on the job aspect of that quote.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're talking about return on investment with the security thing and how people were, you think, I was taught when I was younger, just make sure you get a good job, get in with a good company, get yourself to a point where you are not replaceable. And, you'll be there, get your 401k, get your pension, whatever, and then retire when you're 60, that security of having life planned out. And, that may have worked 40 or 50 years ago, but now there's no such thing as a 401k for most people. Most people are lucky to have 2 or 3 different jobs that can barely make their wages,
Yeah.
And Ariane went to school for 2 years, and luckily she chose the profession of being a nurse. So she's heavily sought after, highly sought after. And, she's got some security there, but the idea that you can be at a company forever. I was at a company for 12 years. And I did make a human resources mistake, and I was working a 4-month notice. But because I made that mistake, they said, "Oh, because you're leaving in a month anyways, we're going to go ahead and terminate your employment with us." Yeah, no pension, no severance, no. I didn't even get a call after the fact saying, "Hey, we want to give you an exit interview." I didn't even get that. It was all okay. See you after 12 years. And thinking security, right? And then there was another guy that was working with the company for 15 or 20 years or something, a lot longer than I was. And shortly after I was terminated, they terminated him too. And he was an amazing guy. He knew the business, he knew the community, grew the community. He worked at the store out in Kernersville, and they were like,
bye.
Yeah, pretty much, and he thought that he had security there. And so the definition of security is the state of being free from danger or threat. And you can pursue it all you want, but you're never actually going to get it. So from a young age, we're taught to secure things. We're taught to secure our spot in line. We're taught to secure friendships, make sure they're, I have to make this good. Secure a safe environment, make sure your door's locked, make sure you can roll up your windows in your car. Is your car locked? Can we walk away from it? For gamers, secure point Alpha, Bravo, or Charlie. Looking at you, Call of Duty players. In our adult lives, we are conditioned to pursue security in the form of a home, finances, health, etc. And yet it can all be ripped away from us by circumstances outside our control. So that just makes me think, especially with COVID-19 happening out there in the world, where all these people thought they had security, and all of a sudden
gone,
they're jobless. People's homes are being repossessed. People's health is being compromised. 20-year-olds are dying from COVID-19, and they were supposed to be the ones that were resilient and resistant to it. And they're probably the people that did everything they could to avoid it. And so it just makes me think what Helen Keller said: security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. And so in the book I'm reading, Wild at Heart, it's talking about risk and danger and how guys were wired to pursue that, to ride four-wheelers and climb cliffs and make our mothers worry about us. Skin our knees, try daring, stupid things to push our limits. So I'm just curious as to what you think about this. Is the pursuit of security healthy?
I think it depends on what kind of security you're going for. Because if your security, and I feel like this is like the quintessential discussion of thought raid is where is your blank found in? you
Yeah.
know, so I'm just going to add another log to the fire of that conversation of if you are finding your security in your job, in external things, in a person, in a family, in whatever else, I feel like those are not good things to be pursuing security because they are temporal things. In
Hmm.
your strength is temporal. You're going to hit a max point of strength in your life, and then time takes you down an unhappy trail. So and then you never know what could happen. I mean, you could get hit, you could get sick, whatever, and all that can just go right away. Like I remember there was a point in my life where I was in Taekwondo, and I did that for about 2 years, and I really enjoyed it. I got to blue red belt, so then been red, and then red black, and then black, and I was doing good, and I was at my prime, and I was taking down some of their top people for a time, and then I got sick. And the sickness kept me sick for, I don't know, maybe I think it was like 2 weeks. And then I went back and I tried to perform at the same level that I did before I got sick. And of course, being a teenager, I didn't think about, hey, you're going to have to build back up, hey, endurance, blah, blah, blah. I was just teenager, so it was all or nothing, and my whole security was in how well I was doing in the moment. And then I got discouraged
Hmm.
because my identity was in my strength in that moment. And so I ended up stopping at that point. Maybe one day I'll get back to Taekwondo. I definitely have the dedication that I didn't have then. So, and the confidence. But, all those things, the physical things in life are not good to be secure in because they change. But I don't think
Yeah.
it's a bad thing in totality because there are places that don't change that you can find security in, like God. Um, but in general, though, you don't want to make it become like this comfortable bed that you never get up out of and try new things and take risk in, though, either.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said this conversation is akin to the one from last night, because all that stuff that I acquired, all this stuff that I would go out and buy, all the the results of my retail therapy, it made it just comfortable enough that I didn't have to challenge myself and change,
Mm.
and so it prevented me from changing because I was like, nah, I like where I'm at. And so I'm thinking, comfort and security kind of go hand in hand, it, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, if security and comfort are kind of synonymous, and comfort actually prevents you from challenging yourself because you like where you're at more than where you think you can be a lot of times, is the pursuit of security healthy? Plus, I think about, whenever I've been in situations where I prioritize security, it also dehumanized other people because I looked at them as a threat, even though they weren't an actual threat. They were just trying to take away from me something that would give me comfort or security, and sometimes that's good, I guess. Like if somebody's coming at me trying to attack Ariana, of course I'm going to take them down or try to. But, if somebody is just coming up, like I remember when we were in Mexico, um, we were at Chichen Itza, the big pyramid place, right? And you walk out, and because my Ariane's family's Caucasian, all the Mexican peddlers would just crowd us, and I felt endangered. I was like, what are they going to do? Are they going to like attack us? And I was getting really angry at them, and I was like, she doesn't want anything, go away, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, that's not very Christian of me. It's not very like, it's not like Jesus to tell people to go away because they're trying to meet a need of theirs,
Mm.
you know? And I think about the homeless ministry. There were lots of times where people would try and take advantage of us. We were trying to out there outwardly give to them, and we were willing to buy people sandwiches or do whatever, but they were trying to con us because they were so used to looking for the security of having enough for that day. And so they would dehumanize other people, thinking, okay, well, this is just another person I need to convince that my need is what it is. That's why they come up and, one of the first things they say is, hey, I'm an ex-vet, and I'm not looking for handouts. Here's my story. I'm like, you don't have to convince me. First of all, I didn't. What caused you to think that I'm not going to try and help you anyways? But anyways, uh, we went to Finnegan's Wake last night. Do you know where that is on Trade Street?
No, I don't. What is that?
It's a little. It's like a bar slash eatery. It was pretty delicious. It was our first time eating downtown in a while.
Hmm.
But then we walked around, and I was thinking to myself, I don't want to walk too far because it's about 10 o'clock at night, and I really don't want to go through the hassle of being accosted by a homeless person, or maybe put in danger by somebody that's on drugs or whatnot.
Hmm.
And oddly enough, as we were walking by the front of Finnegan's going on our walk, there was this guy that was like, "Hey man, I haven't seen your what's up?" Yeah, and he knew me, and he was like, "Hey man, maybe no offense to your wife, but have I ever sold you pot?" And I was like, "No." And he was saying stuff like, "Yeah, I used to be a drug dealer and all this stuff," and I'm like, "Huh, interesting." The very person I was afraid I was going to meet is the very person that I met, but they're pretty jovial. We engaged in conversation for like 15 minutes, but as we were walking along, I didn't want to walk past the bus station because I thought Ariane and I were going to be put in danger. And I had remembered how back in the day when we did the homeless ministry, I didn't care about that. We would walk to the seediest parts of downtown looking for people like that to engage with and to say, hey, what need do you have? Let me tell you your value. Let me show you that you are valuable, that even though some people ignore you, you're worth engaging in conversation. Like, what changed?
Hmm.
You know, and what changed for me was a sense of security. Like I had something that I wanted to take care of that I didn't want somebody taking from me. Whereas back then I was just thinking, I want to build them up, I want to show them value, I want for this other person. And so with that frame of mind, I'm starting to think that security is all wrapped up in selfishness for ourselves or selfishness for our families. There are true needs that need to be met, but pursuing security to the extent of dehumanizing another person, I don't know. I feel really challenged by that idea.
Hmm. I feel like also it just needs to be there needs to be a differentiation between um, types of security, because if you think about an insecure person, you also think about a person who is, needy, who um, doesn't really trust, and so it's really difficult to be around them because of that. So that kind of insecurity, you'd want them to become more secure so they don't really need a person. They're not trying to like glom onto you or something of that nature. You don't have that sense of that. Um,
Hmm.
so I feel like there's a form of security that is good, that causes someone to become secure in their identity and is not trying to prove themselves to others. But I think there's another form of security that's false security, that causes us to maintain the status quo, and not take risk, and not, reach out to the person that, is different than us or whatever, or could be potentially a threat.
Hmm.
Because I feel like that person would also be secure. I think there needs to be a dichotomy of true security and fake security, because true secure people can go out and they'll take risks, and they will, go into the highways and the byways, as it's said in churches, and minister to people without fear of their lives because they're secure in God. But then you got false security that says, I can't trust this place, these people, like you mentioned, because of what could happen to us. And it's just fake security. It's like you are completely lumping everyone into a particular, like they're out to get you. In reality, they're not. And you completely miss a whole group of people in a whole location due to fear or
Hmm.
opportunity or whatever.
Hmm. Well, do you think we can ever be truly be free from danger or threats?
No. I wish, but no.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then why do you pursue security? So if you know you can never be truly like, I'm just thinking about, I used to play Grand Theft Auto and games like Hitman. Do you know what that is? So, or you're an assassin and you have to sneak in and take
Yeah.
out the.
I've seen it, but I've not played it, but I know what you're talking about at least.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how in those games, in order to get in, I would have to do things such as disable security systems and take out guards and stuff, and that stuff all had to be maintained. Security has to be maintained. Whether it's financial security, whether it's relationship security, it all takes some form of maintenance. And you know, because I was the protagonist of those games, by beating the game, I always got through whatever level of security they had against me. And I'm like, there's always something like that, man. There's always something that can and will get through your security. What all these people that thought, oh man, I've got $1 million in the stock market. I am good to go. Everything's on an upward trend. There's absolutely nothing that can derail us. And then COVID-19. And people lost millions, especially when everything tanked.
Yeah, I think about all the restaurants built, businesses and stuff that started last year or close to this year, and then COVID happened, and it's like, wow, I think about that all the time. What a terrible time to have started the business.
Yeah, and then you have, like, in movies, there's a common theme where the upstart underdog person in some type of competition does something really creative that gets them that number one spot, and then in the sequel is always about them maintaining their position by doing what they did before. And then the paradigm there is always, or the paradox is, okay, well, am I going to risk something, or am I going to do what worked? And they're trying to navigate how to manage that level of security. And am I going to lose what made me great? It's all about them rediscovering that sense of risk and creativity. And I was thinking about what Dan said several months ago. He was like, you can't create and criticize at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, and that makes me think you can't maintain security and risk adventure at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's different levels of that. Like the people that go up Mount Everest, there are certain things of security that, like, they'll put stuff on their backs, the backpacks, they'll bundle up, they'll carry water and stuff. And I guess that's security, knowing that it's there.
Yeah. I think
But
really the only thing that gives us any sort of security would be a omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent God. Because, like, I was aware that what is happening now was going to happen last year. I've talked about this with you back in January. I didn't know that it was going to be a virus and a whole bunch of riots and things of that nature going on. I had no idea that was going to be. But the feeling that I had in my heart that God gave me last year was that something was going to happen that was going to cause for the threat of America's was it not supremacy? No, it's
dominance.
No, that's the wrong word. It's the wrong connotation. It's linked to security. There's sovereignty. It was going to test America's sovereignty, and God was going to lift up, like you imagine, there was like a walls protecting America, so to speak, even though we don't have physical walls around the entirety border of the United States, but it was supernatural walls, if you will, protecting it, and God was going to lift that up so that way, it kind of like an inoculation shot that a whole bunch of stuff would get in. It would cause enough that would shake the very foundations of America, but in doing so would bring about a healthier America. America that does not believe that they're invincible and invulnerable to all things, and they can just come up with crack pilot thought processes of like, oh, that's right. I feel this, therefore it must be right. No! It's not reality. And so the only way that was going to be accomplished is by removing the security, ripping off the Band-Aid and exposing it to the elements and things of that nature, and let America actually be in danger and jeopardy.
Yeah.
And I could see that happening, and it's like I was aware that ahead of schedule, which is what's part of the reason why I'm okay now, because God showed me this happening like a whole year in advance. So it's like, okay, I'm ready. Why did I go on that tangent? I think
we were talking about security and risk.
I think just in general, though, like it's a very important part of survival. Like, a part of staying healthy, sometimes means an inoculation shot, which is a risk and a pain. It's almost
Hmm.
guaranteed pain, but the pain that you experience then creates the antibodies necessary to keep you from getting the worst sickness and stuff of that nature. You take no risks. It's like a person who's laying in a bed, their muscles deteriorate over time. They can't get out of the bed later on if they just keep staying there over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. You know, man, when we went to Mexico, it was a completely different world because I know that here, if I am on Haynes Mall Boulevard by the mall and I something happens and I keel over and I'm spasming, somebody's going to come up and say, "Oh, well, hospital's right there. Let's take him."
Yeah.
You know, or if there's a hungry family, there's lots of options. Now, there aren't a ton of options, and there are limitations, but for for most people, there's a welfare system, there's unemployment, there's lots of options. It's really rare that people actually go hungry to the point of starvation and death here.
Mm.
You know, I know it happens to a degree, but over there, it's really different, man. Like we were driving down a road, and there were all these different, I guess, farmsteads or whatever. You would drive, and like for a block, there would be a stone wall, and you look inside the stone wall, and there's a little home or whatever, and everything's overgrown. And my father-in-law was talking to me about how with the Mexican government, there's a lot of corruption out there, and the government really doesn't do a great job of policing everything because it's a poor country. And basically, if you squat on a property long enough and you can protect it and you can maintain it, if you're there long enough, it now belongs to you,
Hmm.
right? And then like we were driving along and we got to this point where this guy had a rope across the road and I think he had a gun or something with him. And we're like, "Hey, where do we go?" And he's like, "If you want to pass this road, you have to pay the toll." I was like, "What toll?" And it wasn't government enforced. It was a dude with a gun that was saying, you know, "If you go past this, you get shot or you have to pay." And I'm like, man, that doesn't really happen in America as frequently. Maybe it happens out in the boonies or something, but the sense of security was really not there. I felt like at any given time we could have been taken advantage of, and we were taken advantage of several times, but that doesn't happen as frequently as the US, as rampantly. But that's a way of life out there. They don't have the securities that we have here, and it's all stuff that has to be maintained. All
Yeah.
the elected officials and the government and the politics and the taxes that go towards it. People are like, "I like the security, but I don't like paying the taxes." It's like, I want the good stuff but not the bad stuff.
Mm.
And I just feel like with security, it's so sticky pursuing so much security. Like back in the old days, your only security was what you could protect yourself. If you had a farm, you could extend your reach as far as you could. But and it's like that in the video games we play, like Sim City or Civilization. If you can't protect your borders, guess what? Somebody who can protect their borders is going to take them from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rocky was like that. He got older. I think it was Rocky. He got to the top, and then he got to a point where he couldn't defend his title anymore, and somebody else took it. There's no way to have the security of that title unless you can defend it. And so I'm like, I'm just thinking that security is rooted in control. And the opposite of control is peace. When you don't, peace is rooted in giving up control, deferring instead to hope and expecting the best. And so that's just like, I don't know. It's here. I'm thinking about it.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah. Security is not like this. We create security into this, because I can defend myself. I can defend the things that I can have. I can hold on to these things. But real security is like this, because this is whatever passes through. It's not really based on what it's in my hand, but I can take on multiple different things that keep me secure over the time because it's not any one particular thing. My security is not my stuff, my strength, my anything. I can find my security in whatever I do have available passing through me in the moment. But I'm not holding on to it. I'm not fighting for it necessarily. Not to say that we shouldn't fight for things, but I'm saying, like, you're not having to spend your whole life in the pursuit of security.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, security makes sense logically, but I feel like it stunts you in the long run if it's your main pursuit. If your pursuit is security, you're going to be sorely disappointed because you're never going to get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or,
And
or at
this
least,
this time that we're in is a great example of that. I think that's why a lot of people are having a lot of issues, because all the things that we used to have security in are not the same. It just can't be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And even after this point, it won't be the same like it was before. It's going to naturally change, but that's an okay thing. There could be greater things that kind of come out of this if we're willing to let go and open our hands up and walk through life of what is there out there that I can receive in any given moment, rather than I have to hold on to this, and I have to hold on this family, and I have to hold on to this friend and this job and this whatever. It's just like, stop. You may be able to, you may not be able to. I was placed, and God had me stay in the walking company for 4 years in a place that was constantly in a downward spiral. But my security was not the walking company. My security was God saying, stay there. So regardless, even though it itself was not succeeding, the world would have said, and my mind also frequently said, you should find a more secure job. I could have found that more secure job and been right back where I am right now, except I would have lost the lessons that my security does not come from what I'm doing, and been poor of a person because of it.
Yeah. Brandon, you talk about all this from the perspective of God, which I share that with you, and somebody on the stream last night at the end posted something. Let me see if I can pull it up.
They felt like people go to religion as a crutch.
Yeah, that's what it was. They
Yeah.
said people use. I was like, are they taking a jab at us, or are they hurt by religion? Like, what exactly is their point for saying that? But I'm thinking sometimes it feels that when I give something up and I don't think about something to the extent that logically makes sense, or that the culture in the world says you should consider and defend this, like, why do I tithe money? Why do I give X amount of hundreds of dollars to a church every 2 weeks? Why do I give money away? Why do I give time away when I don't have all these principles that are counter illogical? They're exclusive to logic. Why do I do that? Because it doesn't make sense. Because if you don't have God and you don't follow the same principles that Jesus set, which is what it means to be a Christian, it doesn't mean live by rules and impose those rules on other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hint, Christians. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how do you live, man? Because if you think, okay, well, my main priority is taking care of myself. My main priority is my family. It makes sense. If you have children, you want them to be fed. It makes sense. If you have a family, you want enough money in the bank that when stuff like COVID-19 happens, you can pay your bills. It makes sense that you want to have walls, and you want to have guns, and you want to have ways to defend yourself, and you want to look at everybody as a threat just in case. But that, like we were saying last night, when there are so many priorities in your life, it's impossible to dedicate all of who you are to growing yourself in those areas. You can't make any progress because you're stunted by defending all these little facets, and I can't help but to think that it's really hard to live a life of security if you don't have God. It's really hard. I'm thinking about it from the way that I used to be. And before I had a relationship with Jesus, and I saw him provide for me in the way that he does. And if any of you want testimonies about that, I'll gladly give them to you, because it blows my mind. It continues to blow my mind. But I just remember having hopelessness, man. I never thought that I could get somewhere that was of any value. I thought that having security was vanity and chasing after wind. I thought it was impossible, because honestly, it is impossible. You're never going to get to a point where you feel completely like you don't have to keep maintaining. Even in Amway, I thought, man, I'm never going to get to a point where I don't have to worry about money anymore. Unless I have millions of dollars tucked away in investments where that money's making me money. And even then, it's possible for those investments to fall through and I'd have to start all over. It takes some sort of maintenance. And then with friendships, it's like, I don't know, dude. I can understand how people coming at the idea of security from a position of God can have a selfish mindset. And I understand if you're that type of person and you're coming from that perspective, I'm not saying you're a selfish person, but you're putting your family first. You're putting your security first because you think that's what you need in order for your family to be safe. And I guess that brings up the question: is security and safety the same?
Hmm. No, they can work in tandem from time to time, but I don't think someone who is safe and someone who's secure are necessarily the same thing. Because it depends also what you want to be safe and saved. Maybe that's why there's the whole concept of being saved or becoming saved through Christ, because it's like, a Christian, a good, God loving, God fearing Christian is safe, but they are not always secure. You know, a lot of times with Christians, when you become a Christian, you also enter into a warfare. Not like you're here to fight people, but rather there's so many misconceptions about Christianity, and if you do just a little bit of searching, you'll find there's Christianity is oftentimes under persecution, especially outside of the United States. Um, in some places more than others, there's a lot of persecution that happens, gruesome things, from tortures to shootings, from now all the way back to when it was founded, all throughout. I think one of the reasons why Christianity is as big as it is because it's been as persecuted as it's been persecuted. Honestly, people respect when they do finally see what a true Christian is trying to do, and they see the crap that we went through to try to secure that future and try to make that happen. I think that's what makes Christianity so appealing for a lot of people and life-changing for them, but also hated.
Mhm.
Because it flies in the face. People want security. They want utopia, but they also don't want to put in the effort to make utopia possible. Because for a utopia to exist, everyone has to be on board. Everyone has to be willing to give of themselves freely. They have to be willing to lay down their rights for the greater cause. They have to be willing to love their enemies. They have to be willing to do all these things that Christians will naturally do. Um, Oftentimes, especially if they're truly pursuing Christ, because again, there are a lot of Christians out there, and like the quote is, it's a crutch for them, but they're using it to crutch up their unhealthy habits. I'm
Mhm.
pursuing God for security. I pursue God because of what He can give me. I love you, Lord. Give me $1 million. And that's not Christianity. That's hypocrisy. But true Christianity brings out that utopia where I'm giving of myself. I'm giving you the
Mhm.
money that I've earned because I want you to be secure over my own self. I'm feeding you even though I'm weak in this moment. I'm giving of my time and my life for you. Um, and so yeah, I think that's a major reason why, you know, there's a lot of bad raps when it comes to Christianity. But again, I keep getting off of these tangents. I'm like, what brought me onto this tangent? I felt so passionate in the moment that I finished. And I'm like, wait, what?
That's
Help me,
okay.
Tim.
Well, something that you were saying sparked an interest because I was thinking about the idea of being safe versus the idea of being secure. And when you were talking about being saved as a Christian, if you have it, go ahead and say it.
I was gonna say that's why I brought out there, because it's like with Christianity, it's like, our spirit is saved, our identity, who we are, is something that's saved, but we're not secure.
Yeah.
We're still endure. In fact, in some ways, we're even less secure than a person who's not saved because of the ridiculing, oh, you're just saying that because you're a Christian, or I don't believe in what you're saying, or I want you to die because I hate your beliefs. So in many ways, Christianity is not secure, but it is safe.
Well, dude, ever since I became a Christian, it's almost like I've been taking more risks than before I became a Christian. When I became saved, I started taking more risks. And so, I'm thinking, safety is having moments of release release. Safety is having moments of relief as you go from trial to trial.
Mm-hmm.
I think about when somebody's like, "Hey, are they safe?" In movies where there's that heightened tense moment, are you safe? Do you have a brief moment of respite, of relief as you're going through something? Which, honestly, if you're pursuing Christianity for the way you should, which is pursuing Jesus and letting him grow you and letting him reveal things to you about yourself that you might want to work out, and take you to higher places where you're challenged to do more and more for people, doing more and more for God, not like uphold rules and
No,
standards and
no,
stuff.
but out of the goodness of the heart, of your heart, as God's working on the inside of you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about the Pharisees, and the person last night who was who was talking about using God and religion as a crutch. That's what the Pharisees did. They had security in knowing that they checked off all their boxes.
Yeah.
They had security in knowing that they could judge people. They had security, and it wasn't. They weren't saved. They weren't safe because they weren't being challenged. And so security, I have it defined here as defending moments of relief from a position of thinking you've hit a save point. Like, this is where I want to be. I'm not going to go any further. I want to protect where I'm at because I don't want to move.
Mm.
And I'm thinking a lot of people do that with security. Like, there's a couple that I'm talking to right now, and they're considering marriage. And one of the commentaries was, we don't want to get married until each of us have $10,000 saved up. Right. And that was like their point where they could quantify when they would move. And that makes sense,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, well, yeah, that makes total sense. Well, what if life keeps hitting you and hitting you and hitting you to a point where you can't save that money,
Yeah.
right? Because you can't hit that level of security, you're not going to enter into a new stage of life. Whereas if you had entered into that new stage of life, maybe you could hit that security, and that's often how it goes. We often can't attain more and do more in our lives until we've gone through like we were talking about last night, a period of pruning,
Mm.
where we have like climbing Mount Everest. You don't just do it all at once. You go
No.
from camp, you rest, then you go to the next camp, then you rest, then you go to the next camp. You go from safety to trial to safety to trial along the path to getting to where you need to go. Whereas security is saying, okay, we're just going to make a stronghold here. We're going to camp up and protect what's good here instead of moving on. And dude, getting rid of all this crap, like I was talking about last night, that was me making a stronghold instead of just going from safe point to trial to safe point, growing my life.
Oh man, the imagery that you used made me think of the negativity of that. Because what do you think of? Someone camps out in a place, they build a stronghold. What happens? The stronghold is in the path of life. As someone is going through their own lives and they encounter where you put up a stronghold, you've created a blockade for them getting from where they need to be to another place. And your stubbornness and your fear of not being secure has now caused someone else to have troubles, and you've affected them because you're your wide ass fortress is in the way of them continuing to where they need to head because you're so concerned about being secure that you're overlooking other people's healthiness and well-being for you feeling good and okay about your life.
Yeah. Side note, why is it that adding the word ass to the end of something makes it so much funnier?
I don't know.
But thinking about security in marriage, making decisions as a married couple it can be difficult sometimes, especially when it has something to do with the trajectory of your long-term life. And we've talked about things like doing missions and going overseas and doing whatever. And I've always been apprehensive. Like, I haven't had peace to do that,
Mm-hmm.
because I think, oh, all my life I've wanted a house and I finally have a house. And if we do that, I have to give up the house, or, just thinking about money and whatnot. And it's really difficult to move on and chase that with her and go on adventures with her because there's so much stuff here that I want to maintain the security of.
But I think that's why there's the importance of pursuing God and what he says to you directly, because there's a time and place for everything. If you don't have those times of resting, and you don't rest, you're not going to obtain what you're trying to strive towards because you're too exhausted to get there. So there is a time for strain, getting up that mountain, putting yourself into risky situations, but there is a legitimate time to sit, set up a little bit of a camp, breathe, eat, enjoy the scenery, and then pack up and keep moving.
Mhm.
you know so I feel like that's where you'd want to be cautious not to be like too hard on yourself, because also your level of strenuous activity that you may need to do may not be the same for someone else. Like I have been on a dating website, and there was this one girl that I matched with, but she lives a far more active life than I do, and just as healthy as I am as a person. But she'll travel all over the world. She'll see different places and stuff. And I travel from my bedroom to my kitchen, and then maybe somewhere to Winston Salem and back and whatever. But I know that it's okay, because that's the calling that God has in my life. There's specific things that I'm doing in this season that I don't need to travel all over the place for. I can minister to reach people halfway across the world through this, never having to go anywhere at this moment. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I have peace about that. But with her, if she were to be in my life, which she's not, but if she were to be, it would not be the same for her, because God's called her to be more, hit and go to all these different places, and I would just wear her down. So I feel like it's situational, person to person, and situation to situation. There's only so much we can do right now with COVID going on, and the bubonic plague question mark. I don't know. And so I feel like it'd be fruitless to sit and think, oh man, I have to be throwing myself into risk all the time, because then you get into adrenaline junkies, and then they just live running away constantly, always on an adventure, and that's just as unhealthy as just building a bed in security and never moving from that place. Both are unhealthy.
Yeah. So I think what I'm taking away from this is that I want to pursue safety instead of security. Like, just realizing that I'm going through something tough, and on the other side of that tough thing, look for the safety, which is a momentary relief where I can rest and get ready for my next adventure. There's something here.
You're safe in the identity that God has given you and who you are meant to be, rather than secure in all the things that you have. I feel like safety transcends the external. It transcends the things we can touch, smell, hear, taste, see. Because the safety comes from when you understand your purpose in life, what you are capable of doing, regardless if you have full function of your faculties or not, or if you're free or a slave. That's where the safety is. Is that realization that my value and what I can do, and God's approval of me, and my approval of myself, is not dependent upon what I have or see or where I'm located in that present moment.
Yeah. I think it's really easy to make an idol out of security and become a slave to it. And I think that's why a lot of people get to the end of their lives and they think to themselves, man, I really didn't accomplish much. But man, you had a good run having so much money saved up in your bank account. But I think that's what also kills dreams and kills hopes, because when you think about security, you think finite. You think, okay, well, I'm going to do enough that I think I can protect. Just like if I was a farmer back in the 1800s or whatever, 1700s. I'm bad with time frames. I would make my farm out. I'd put the little fence out, and I would have crops to the extent of what I knew I could protect. But then, like, how do you make something bigger? How do you do something that's bigger than you? How do you stretch yourself? I'd hate to live my life only living on that farm and only surviving from season to season. I don't want to be in the same place 10 years from now that I am today. And if all I do is think, okay, well, I have this house, I want to make sure that my house is safe or secure. I'll use for just clean language. I want to have $10,000 in my bank account. I want to make sure that's secure, and once that's there, I want to protect it, and that's all that matters to me. And then just think 10 years from now that I don't know. I want more than that. I want people's lives to be impacted. I want to have experiences. I want to have a sleeve of tattoos. I want to have sweet skills. I want to. I can't do that from the security of comfortability that I have right now.
Mm. I feel like the most practical, non-spiritual way about having being able to go beyond risk, or like not being controlled by risk and finding that real safety. I think it has to, at least from my personal perspective, and maybe I'm biased towards this because people is my treasure, but I feel like it comes out of finding your identity through, like, how are you able to benefit others and help others and work and be others centric. Because if your identity is more, if your security is coming from taking care of yourself, that's where that very limited and I have a certain amount of resources come from, because everything is on your shoulders. So if I'm trying to pursue security and I'm focused on myself, then you can only do so much. And even then, you don't even know what the full capacity of what you can do too, because I've found that I think I can go this far, and then the ceiling opens up and I find I can do more. But either way, however that ceiling cap may go, you're just one person, so you can only provide so much security. And if you're focused on taking care of yourself and the personal security, then you start to look at other people with amnesty. That if they take anything from you, they're taking away from your security, and you can get angry and anxious and insecure. But if you find your identity through how you interact with other people and become more focused on how can I help other people, and you take that risk of, I'm going to reach out to this person even though they could screw me over, even though they could hurt me, they could lie to me, they could whatever, then that risk, now you've got, if it works, which some are going to work and some are not going to work, now you've got two people working together. And your security, even though there's a lot of risk involved, the security in reality gets nurtured, and you have more true security because you're not alone. You've got two hands to the plow at that point. Two hands, was it two heads are better than one kind of thing, it's like there was a quote that I was taught in college that was, there are many things you can do alone, but survival is not one of them. And that stuck with me. And so I feel like the fastest way to stop being ruled by insecurity, or by the pursuit of security, it has to come out of outward focus. Not to say that you don't take care of yourself, period, because that's another story. But for those of us that are more so, we take good care of ourselves, but then pursue security, I think it's important to outwardly look at how can I help this person or this person or that person, because it gets your mind off of your fears of being insecure, and because you'll find that they have their own, and so you can find comfort in not being alone in your problems. And two, as you develop that, then that can come back and help you. Like, for instance, when I moved recently, I'm not good with the heavy stuff. And moving is not my forte, but I've spent so many years pouring into your life, into Tim's Orger's life, to other people, and all that help made a huge difference. It kind of came out of that. If I was just more so focused on my own security and how can I take care of Brandon, by the time I needed to move, you probably would not have been there to help me, because we would not have established that relationship, and so it'd be like, why am I going to give you time when you didn't even give me time? Stuff of that nature. I've been so focused on my own personal needs, and I had to take care of myself, that I would have never taken risk in relationship and gone out and meet more people that would help me down the road in the areas that I'm weak in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sit down. From my soapbox.
Yeah. Well, to kind of bring it to a close, I think the big nugget that I got from this. I just want to reread Helen Keller's thing again. Security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Uh, I'm thinking about all the Discovery Channel things that I used to watch, and there's no real safety in nature. I mean, there are a lot of those animals. They would follow them, and they would have it would show them getting food and mating and having babies, and oh, you got eaten by a fox. You know, it's like done like that. Even though they have a den and they have all this other stuff, but I'm thinking that I don't want to pursue security anymore because I can see in my life how I have done that. I put it in chat. I define security as arriving in a moment of safety and remaining there, and I've defined safety as moments of relief as you transition from trial to trial. Because I know that I've definitely hit points where I've gone from a difficult trial, and I think, I don't want to do that again. I like where I'm at. I'm really comfy. Let me just make myself comfy. Just nestle right in, and that's prevented me from moving on, dude. I'm 35. I didn't move out until I was 30. A lot of people move out when they're 18, and a lot of people have good credit by the time they're 20. A lot of people own their own car by the time they're 22. A lot of people, I'm just thinking about all the times where I didn't allow myself the risk of being out of security, or the risk of going through something and then getting to a moment where it's like, okay, you've gone through some stuff, you can rest for a time, and now let's get back to it, let's keep going. I've allowed myself to think, okay, well, I deserve to just sit here for a while. I don't have to challenge myself. And because I didn't challenge myself, it cost my parents a lot of stuff. It costs all the girls that could have been potential mates early on. It cost them a really awesome dude. I'm really happy with the way things happened, and I'm not looking back with regret. But I know that I could be a lot further along in life right now if I didn't pursue security.
Security was not paramount.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that just kind of making it into a well-rounded thing. I think like security is something that can be a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing where we just get too comfortable in it. And then it just prevents us from moving on. There's those moments where it's like, oh, here's a place of safety. Everything worked out perfectly, and we think that we're the source of this pocket of safety, and maybe we played a part in it, but I feel like true safety is not a naturally occurring thing. There's so many things in this world that give us life, but also can kill us in a heartbeat. So to pursue safety and to like build up that one particular area in a world that's dynamic and keeps changing is foolish. But at the same time, I think without those moments of safety and to just live constantly, on edge and never have a moment to sit down and rest for a second, I think that also is too far on the other side too. But in this case, for what we're focusing on, I think, that it would be good not to just get secure, sit there, mellow out, and then never take risk again. It's like you didn't create that pocket of safety, and you're not going to be able to maintain it for much longer anyways, because it's not something you just kind of stumbled upon. Oh, this actually worked. Because I can tell you now, like, again, from my own personal experience, like, when I was first going into live broadcasting, I would see people with far less dynamic personalities than me, with far more viewers than me. So it's not a matter before you can think that, oh, I made this happen. No. Chance. Some people are going to succeed in some things, and the other person who does the exact same thing to the T will not have the same results. So I think it's really good to humble ourselves and realize we didn't formulate this safety. We have the knowledge font knowledge of all safety and how to maintain and get this false security. No, keep moving until you've reached the final prize. That place of, I want to say that place of perfection, but I know it's not really possible to be perfect. But don't stop, because security is not worth it. It's just something that you can't really maintain. You'll spend your whole life in fear or anger or resentment. Never quite really. It's a place where regrets form. Places where just that staleness and losing muscle mass comes from, because I'm secure in this place. No. Do you have any other final thoughts then, I guess?
No, well, I just want to encourage you that if you feel like you're in a place where you are a slave to security, you don't have to be.
Mm.
It's not even a Jesus thing. Even if you don't follow Jesus, you can say, "Hey, I want to move past my all the things that I think that I have to hold secure and challenge myself to the next level. Just tomorrow, do 10% more than you did today." Or if you think that your security is in $10,000 in your bank account, next month have 10,000, $11,000 in your bank account. If you think that your friendships are secure because they're superficial, dare to be 10% more deep with those relationships. Tell them one of the skeletons in your closet. Risk that, and let it go deeper. You don't have to be a slave to your security, and you can give that up so easily.
Yeah, I think it's called neuroplasticity, of where the brain's ability to rewire itself, and it takes time for the brain to rewire itself. It might, as you go in trying to take a step away from your security, there will be failures, there will be fears, there will be moments where it feels like nothing is happening, but that does not mean that it's not happening. It just means that the brain is still taking time to kind of catch up as you're working on rewiring it towards finding more secure, finding more benefit. What's the word? My mind went to security, but that's not what I meant. Not what I meant to say. I guess rewards, lighting up the reward centers from taking risks and stuff of that nature. The only true security we have is trusting in God, who sent His only Son to die for us and loves us more than anything. He loves us and is for us. Yes, that is something I agree with. But yeah, but from a more of like a secular standpoint, neuroplasticity is, again, it's something that can be done. It just takes time. They say it takes 21 days to form a habit. If you're going out and you're wanting to take more risks, it takes time to do that. And you're probably not going to be able to, you may or you may not be able to maintain 21 days to form a habit. But if you keep trying every time you remember to, then that becomes longer and longer until eventually it becomes a habit. I think sometimes maybe it takes more than that. Maybe it takes twice that time, because part of it is it takes 21 days to form a habit. But the other part of it is I'm making myself take the steps necessary to turn it into a habit. The unspoken part of making a habit. So yeah, if you got any other thoughts, we can close that here, I guess.
I think we're good.
All right, early end today. Hey. So I want to thank you guys for watching today. It's been a lot of fun. We broadcast every week, Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this next week is going to be my week, and we'll be talking about stuff going on in my personal life come Monday. So I'd love to have you be a part of it. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you've not done so already, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, because that's where we take all of these videos, edit them up, and bring them back to you with nice, sweet music to listen to in the process.
Sweet ass music.
Wait.
Sweet ass.
So yes. But yeah, but again, otherwise, I just want to thank you guys for watching. And we will see you again Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Sweet ass.
Oh my God. Wow.